So this is the file we are going to work with for the first. So there are similarly there are two other folders we will be working with. So let's start with the basic stuff. Some of you from the questionnaire surveys also I have observed that some of you already have some information, some knowledge about the Excel macro, and I'm also happy to note that some of you have already started using macro for your small tasks for your own purposes. So anyway, here we have different batches from different with different levels of expertise in Excel. So we will try to cover as quick as possible the fundamental as well, right? Okay. If you go to the very first sheet, the tab sheet name is VBA. Under VBA, the example one is working with this developer tool and VBAs and so on. So let me show you in the ribbon. In the ribbon, Excel workbook ribbon, you have home, insert, page layout, formula, data, review, view, and in my tab, we have developer. Sometime in your ribbon, it may not be available. It may not be available. So what you can do is you can enable it. How to enable? You just right click. Maybe you can go to file and option. Can you go to file? File, and under the option, then you will get the pop-up window, Excel option. In the Excel option, you will see a customized ribbon, right? Under the customized ribbon, you will see some tabs under the main tabs, right? So under this main tab, sometime your developer ribbon will be there, but it's not tick, right? So if it is not tick in your main tabs, tick that and say okay, right? So have you all got it? Have you all got the developer ribbon in your Excel? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, okay. So once you select okay, then you will get this developer ribbon, right? So that is one of the most important ribbon when we are talking about your own developments, right? So you're trying to write your own macro to work along with Excel, right? So let us go through some of the features there. Don't worry about everything. So mostly we will be working along with this code area, and also sometime you may be working with some control areas. So you can see here under the develop ribbon, under the develop ribbon, you have Visual Basic. When you put the cursor over there, the shortcut key is coming. Alt F11. Alt left F11 is for opening your Visual Basic editor. Don't open now. If you are opening, it's okay, but keep it close and we will come back there. And then you can write your view, your macros, like what are the different set of macros you have written, and to view the to see the list of macros in your Excel sheet or workbook. There is a ribbon for that. Then there are some other features like record a macro. You might have done, some of you might have done, some of you may not. But it's a record. Like say for an example, this particular seminar is recorded. Why? Because to replay in the future, right? Similarly, what you are doing in Excel, maybe you are putting some text in a cell, you may be highlighting, or you may be coloring, or you may be doing some formatting in a table or a cell or a range or a book, and you record everything. You record everything what you do in the Excel, and then at a point you stop it. Then what is the meaning of the recorded macro is you replay that macro and work that Excel will do the same operations what you have already done. So if you want to mimic, or if you want to repeat the same kind of procedure, where you can record the macro and replay, right? So that is the whole meaning of recording a macro, right? Before we record a macro, first let's go to some of the security features which we need to know about it. First one is everybody must know, like for an example, in here everybody working in the same file. So your file name is in the top, day 4. Can you see my cursor here? Day 4 at the top of the window. Day 4, 2021, September 1, workbook 1 dot XLSX, right? XLSX. Earlier it was Excel. Now the latest versions they have added XLSX, right? So these are the extension of a Excel file. There are a lot different template, macro enable. There are different template extensions are available, but most commonly used extensions are extension of the file is XLSX these days, right? But when you work with macro, this extension will be changing. So if you want to work with my macro enable workbook, your extension will be XLSM, right? So this M is added because your file is going to have some code within it. So people will understand if the file extension is end with M, that means your file has a macro, right? File has a macro, right? So when you enable the macro, then because of the security reasons, sometime what will happen is by default, some of the computers may have restricted not to open the macro enable files, because sometimes it may be harmful, codes may be inside, so they will naturally block it. So go to your file and go to option, and under the option you can see Trust Center. Is it Trust Center? Yes. Under the Trust Center, the last tab is under the Excel option is Trust Center. Then you open the Trust setting. You open the Trust setting, then you will get another window, that's Trust Center window, where you can see there are a lot of things, and one of the tab is macro settings, right? One of the setting is macro setting. So here you can see under the macro setting, there are 4 options given to you. When you are installing your Excel, most probably everybody will have this second option is tick. If your Excel has different options, you need to adjust it now to work with macro. Let me go through this. Disable all macros without notification. That means when you're opening any macro enable workbook, the workbook will open, but you cannot work with a macro written in it, because your Excel will block everything without a notification event. Second one is disable the macro, but with notification, so that if you wish, you can allow. Third one is disable all macro except the digitally signed macro. So it is it will not allow others, but it automatically allows the digitally signed macros. And the fourth one is a dangerous one, but enable all macros, but not recommended, because sometimes macros may have some harmful codes also, right? So the best option by default is the second one. So you need to enable that, okay? So let me close this too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this normal Excel file into macro enable Excel file, right? Macro enable Excel file. So how can I do that? I'm going to put save as I'm going to save this book as save as. Save as, what is the shortcut key? F12, function key F12, right? So if you can press F12 when you are clicking in this, when you are working in this Excel workbook, if I'm pressing F12, you will get where you want to save. So let me save in the same folder, but only difference is I'm going to save in a different extension. You need to look for save as type, right? Save as type, I'm going to change. So by default, it is Excel SX, but I'm going to select the second one, that is Excel macro enabled workbook, that is .xlsm, right? So .xlsm. So now I'm saving this, right? So once you save, now you can go to your top header, where the top of your file name, everything is same, but the name has changed to XLSM. XLSM. That means now you are ready to work with macro, right? You are ready to work with macro. Otherwise, the macro will not be enabled and you cannot work with macro, right? So to test this one, you didn't write any macro yet, but to test this one, you close this. How do we close a workbook without closing entire Excel? Close only one book. What is the shortcut for closing a workbook? Anyone? In Microsoft, any Office application, it not only for Excel, Word or PowerPoint or even some of the PDF, is a standard notation, Control W. Control W will close the workbook, right? So I'm pressing Control W. So it's asked whether you want to save. Yes, right. Now I'm going to open the same Excel file, but the XLSM, right? You also can do simultaneously with me. So when you open this one, now it is a the macro enabled workbook, right? Macro enabled workbook. But you didn't get any notification because you haven't write any macro yet. Though it is Excel SM, there is no macro recorded or added here. So you didn't get any warning. Otherwise, you will get a warning here, right? Is that clear? That is the basic steps you need to start with, right? Okay, so that's mean we have covered this developer and related matters. Right, now we are going to, under this example one, the example one is targeted for record a macro, right? So go to the sheet example A, go to the sheet number 2, that is example A, where I have given a small exercise for you, right? Very simple one, small exercise for you. So here I would like, don't do anything. Don't do anything unless otherwise stated, right? So do only what is mentioned. Do only what is mentioned, because we are going to record a macro. If you do unnecessary, even a click, even a move, don't do that. So what we are going to do is only the instruction or only what we wanted is going to be done, right? So we are going to do some specific tasks after the recording is on, right? After the recording is on. Right? What are the instructions given? Change the font color of these cells. That means these header cells. Header cells to be, we are going to change the font color. 1 minute. So what we are going to do is we are going to change the font color. We are going to change the font color. Don't change the color now. For the explanatory purpose, I am going to do now, but I will reset that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same coloring in your color plate. If you go, there is a 10 different standard colors are there. right? 10 different standards colors are there. So I'm going to apply the same color which is indicated here for a guideline. So I'm going to change the font color. I'm going to change the font color. The second step is I'm going to change the background color as given here, right? The same color I'm going to put it here. Second step. Then make the header. That means here, I'm going to change this to the bold, and I'm going to change this to the italic, and also going to be underline, and also going to be strike through. You can go to the font tab and strike through. So your things are done, right? So, so these are the steps we are going to do in the order. In the order. Don't do anything in a shuffle manner, because there is a meaning why I want to do that, right? So let me undo everything, right. Okay. If you want, I can add header is not with the border now. Maybe you can add the border also. So why don't we add borders to the header? Okay. Right. So now we are going to start the macro. Recording a macro. Go to developer tabs. Go to developer tab. And this is what the macro, the record macro. So just click the record macro, then you will get a pop-up window, right? You will get a pop-up window. Can you see that? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. I'm going to keep some reference so that everybody can refer the same references. So I'm working with the example A, right? I'm working with the example A. If you see the tab sheet name, my sheet name is example A. So I'm going to do this, name the macro in the same way. Example, capital E, X-A-M-P-L-E, capital A. Example, right? So I put the macro name as example. Everybody in the same place? I hope you are working with me. So I put the macro name as example, and you need to put, you can, if you want, you can put a shortcut key. So when you put the shortcut key, let's say control is already there. So I'm putting Shift A here, Shift A. So press Shift A. So your shortcut key is Control Shift A, Control Shift A. Where you want to save the macro, by default, it is in this macro book. So I will leave that as it is, this macro, this workbook. And if you want, you can write some description. Anything you can type, but I'm going to type it. Say this is the first macro recorded. This is the first macro recorded to do 7 tasks. Right? We have identified 7 different tasks. So I'm just putting there 7 different tasks. So I don't want to type it, but just anything you can type. Anything you can type so that you understand what is this macro for, right? So if you have all done that, name of the macro, and in this name of the macro, you cannot have any blank space. You cannot have any blank space. Right. So let me say OK. The moment you say OK, record will start, right? The moment you say OK, the record will start. So that's why I told, don't do anything unnecessary. Right now, even don't scroll your Excel, don't do anything. Keep as it is, right? Keep as it is. Right. So I'm saying OK. Now my first thing is what? Change the font color. So can you do the font color change? The first one is going to be the very first, right? Dark red. The second one is going to be red. Third one is going to be the third in this palette, that is orange. Similarly, can you do all? Yellow, and then light green, dark green, etc. Light green, dark green, yeah. Okay. Even the clicks are counted anyway. 8, what I put? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, dark blue, 10, purple, right. Then similarly, I'm going to fill the color, that is the next one, again with the same dark red, red, orange, yellow, and so on. Can you finish by yourself? Right. Okay, I done. Then make the headers 1 to 10 bold. So I'm going to select all these and then make it bold. Second one is make it italic. Third one, make it underline. Fourth one, strike through. So I'm going to the font tab and then strike through, and I strike through. And then I'm going to add the border. So I have selected the headers. So I'm going to select the all borders, right? The option called all borders. So I'm selecting that. So done. So now I will go back to the developer window and stop the macro, right? I'm going to stop the macro. So now I have stopped it, right? Have you all done? Have you all done it?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. So now we have recorded. So when we record something, so if you are recording a voice through using a voice recorder or a mobile phone, if you are recording a Zoom meeting, there must be some things must have, and the end of the task, the recorded things must be stored somewhere, right? So if it is in a record, a voice recorder, then the voice recorder will have the recorded information, right? So now you have recorded this macro, so you need to know where it is stored, right? The advantage and the beauty of Excel is that your recorded thing and your own folder, sorry, own file, everything is in the same file. So you don't need to go to any other folder to search for where I recorded, right? Everything what you have recorded, it's in the file as a code, So how do we go? We go to this Visual Basic Editor. You can click on this developer very first tab, that is Visual Basic Editor, or otherwise you can click Control F11 to see what we have recorded. So basically, Visual Basic Editor. So Visual Basic Application Editor. So to go to the Visual Basic Application Editor, you can select Alt F11. Alt plus F11, right? So you may, when you're working often with macros, you may remember this, right? So the shortcut is Vba Editor, that is Alt F11. Let me press Alt F11. You will have a new window separate window, but associated within this file, but you will get a new window. So you can see here, there is a project name called Day 4, 2021, September 1 workbook and so on. There are so many different worksheets available, depends on number of worksheets you have. So I don't want to work with that. I will minimize. Then you can see there is a modules. There is a module folder icon is there. When you expand that, there is a new module added. There is a new module added. When you double click the module, you will see a lot of information, right? You will see a lot of information. What are the information? One is you have given a name, right? When you are recorded a macro, you have given a name. So you can see the pattern, how it is, Visual Basic is starting, right? So you proceed, you start with the sub procedure. So sub and the sub name, the procedure name. The procedure name, what we have given is example A, right? Then we also have given some description to it. Say, for example, in this case, I have made a description. This is the first macro recorded to do a certain task, right? Then also you have given with the Excel is giving you some other information that you have given a shortcut key that is Control-Shift-A, right? So you can see when you start with a single quote, the text, everything behind the single quote is green. What's the meaning? Anything you write behind the single quote, then it's become a comments. That means it's not part of the code. Why we want them? Because to explain what you are doing. So these are explanatory comments. So this is not part of your codes. But if you remove, then it become a part of your code. If you do any mistake there, it will bring you an error. So this one is a comment. So one thing is the comment, right? Okay. So now you can see here, there are a lot of information recorded. So what you have done in the series, right? Let's glance through what has happened. Range H3 is selected. Range H3 select. Then with the selection, the font is changed. Font color is changed to this color. This is the dark red color code. Then I3 was selected, then the color was changed, and so up to 10 colors we have changed, right? So up to here, we have select the font colors, right? After that, I put a comment, my own comment. The quotes below are for fill color, right? So you can understand now. I'm trying to make this code understandable, right? So I'm putting my own comments into the recorded macro. So here also, if you want, I can put it. So what I can do is this, the quotes below are for font color, right? So here everything is about font color, right? Don't make any panic with this one. These are recorded macro. Don't worry about it. So only thing is you need to see a pattern, a range. That means a cell is selected, and after selection we are changing the color of this one, font color of this one. Then from here onwards, what we are doing is a filling, background color. So selection, interior, then the color is 192. Then interior color is 255. And interior, the color is this one, right? So Excel has done so many other things which I really don't want, right? Anyway, okay. Then where our interior business is finishing. Here is also interior, interior, interior. After that, once again, there is a font color is coming. Why? Again, a font interior is coming probably by. That's why I said if you select anything mistakenly, that also will be added anyway. Then I have selected the range, right? H3 to Q3, and I have selected the selection font to be bold, made it true. Then font italic is true, and font underline is what's the style of underlining? Excel underline style single. Then with the selection font, the font name, font style, font shape. These I didn't do, but Excel will automatically capture this all. If you don't want all these description, you can delete and keep only, because my intended operation is only this. Strike through is true. Intended operation is strike through is true. So actually what I have done is only this. What I intended to do is this. But Excel has recorded all the other stuffs also, right? Then we have gone for the selection borders and etc., right? So now you can go through this and see what the Excel has done, right? So now let me save and close this one, right? Or maybe you can keep it or you can close it. Anybody has any question in this? Or is it all right? You don't need to question or you don't need to worry about. That's like, okay, forget about. So you have recorded and it's done. Close this, right? So how I am going to use this one, right? How I am going to use this one now. So let me say I delete all this, right? I delete all these formatting. I delete all the formats. First of all, save your file. What is the shortcut key for the saving file? Control S, right? Control S. So save your file first before working with. Right. I have saved my file. Now what I'm going to do is all the formats what I have done, I'm going to delete. Clear the formats. Right. So I have deleted the formats and again I will save it. Right. Right. Now, if I want to repeat the same what I have done already, if I want to repeat the same what I have already done, it's a matter of recalling the same code. It's a matter of recalling the same code. What is the shortcut key? What is the shortcut key what we selected for this macro? Remember? Control CTRL plus Shift plus A, right? Thank you. So we have selected this one. So that's mean this is the shortcut to run that macro. So what I'm going to do is I will just press Control Shift A and see what will happen, right? Only issue, sometime it may not work. Let me select the Control Shift A. Sometime it may not work because we have just written the macro, we have saved it, but then sometime you Excel wanted this to be closed and then reopen and then enable the macro to work with, right? So you can try this one, Control Shift A. Sometime it may be allowed. In some systems, it may not allow. So in this case, it's allowed, right? So how about your side? Was it allowed?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, perfect. If it is not allowed, what you can do is after saving, you close the file, and then reopen, the same macro enabled file. Then you will have the corner of left corner, you will have a security warning, macro have been disabled. But if you wish, you can enable. So usually when you receive a macro enabled workbook, this warning will come. If you trust the person who is sending this file to you, then you can enable it. Otherwise, you have to be suspicious on it, right? So if you want to be checked, then don't enable it. Go to the code and look at what the code is doing and then enable it. But here, I believe that you trust me and I trust you. So you can enable. So you can enable. So then the code will work, right? Now I am pressing Control-Shift-A. So it will be repeated. So suppose if you want to do anywhere you want to do this one operation, you can do that. Only thing is you need to change your codes, right? You need to change your codes, right? Keep this as a saved. Now you can save this one, right? Now you can save this one. I'm going to do some changes to my code. I'm going to do my changes, some changes to the code. So quickly, can you do the control, F12, F12. I'm going to say 1.1, 1.1. Or maybe already you have one. So let me say a hyphen or a minus A11, right? A11. We have example A, so A1 is enough, right? Okay. I have A1. So I'm going to change my code and save it as an A1 now, right? So you can select anything, but to recall everything, I'm putting some systematic way of coding A1 and save it. So now why I want to keep this one? Because the original code is already saved there, right? Now my file is a1.xlsm, right? a1.xlsm. Now, again, let me go back to the code. Alt F11, Alt F11. My what I wanted to do is I want to change the color of these particular cells, right? Here H3, I3, J3, A3, and so on, right? A3 and so on. Let me go back to my original file here. So let's say I want to change somewhere. There are 10 numbers header, and there is a subsequent header, the cells I want to fill the color. This is my task, right? So let me remove everything. So remove everything. Whenever I am selecting any cell, what I want is I want to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I want to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I want do all these 7 set of format. 7 set of format. For the time being, forget about this 1 to 10, which is also I inserted no. So whenever you select anything, apply that format. Apply that format. Can we do that? Okay. So the task is important. So if you want to do any macro, first you need to understand very clearly what I wanted to do. Here in this task, what I wanted to do, anywhere, let me see in a cell, even in a cell, you have a data. So if I select this one and apply that one, what will happen? This one, starting from here up to 10, that all the bold and italic and underlining, everything will be done. And the following 10 will be filled with different color. This is the macro we're going to do. Don't ask why, it's a crazy idea, but just an exercise, right? So let me go back to the code. So instead of H3, because in this case, now your macro is recorded as H3. So even anytime, every time you repeat this macro, it's always changing H3, I3, J3, K3, and so on. I don't want that to do. I want instead of that, where I select, then you apply in that cell, you apply this particular, right? You apply this particular change. So basically, I'm going to change this codes, right? I'm going to change this code. So first time we are going to, some of you, for some of you, you are going to first time change the, write your own code. Don't worry anything. There are few syntax you may need to remember, but it's easy, right? So what I want to do first, when I select a cell, when I am selecting any cell in a sheet, first thing you need to know what it is, right? First thing you need to know what is this. So in Excel, when you select any cell in the corner, the name area, it will tell you what. So if I am selecting this one, now it is I am at M2. If I am selecting this one, I am at U20, right? Now I am at L18. Likewise, you can go ahead. So this is actually a cell reference, right? This cell reference can be in two ways. One is, as usual, you can say A1, B2, or B3. Even you can go for some ranges like A1 to B3. So these are one type of reference which we normally use, right? But in Excel, when you are working with some macros, sometimes this A1 reference style is difficult. Why it is difficult? Say, for example, in this case, I want to go from 10th column from K. How do I count 10 from K? It's a trouble, right? I need to first count K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, etc., and then go for this. The alphabetical gives me some trouble here. Because of that, why should I convert this into 1, 2, 3 instead of A1, A2, A3, B4, and B2, and so on? So you can do that. So under the cell reference, you can go for row, column, both in numerics. So say if you want to refer column A1, 1, 1. If you want to go for B3, if you want to go for B3, the second column, third row, right? So third row, second column. Likewise, you can put your ranges. In this one case, what you will do is you have to put two cells reference. One is starting from 1, 1. Then the other cell is ending at 3, 1. Can you understand this? Instead of using A1, we put 1, 1, right? We put 1, 1. So here it is A1. So rather we are planning to try 1, 1, which is a more matrix orientation or a table orientation. Working with numeric number is easy in calculation. So if you prefer to do so, you can change that in the option, right? In the Excel option, you can change this. Go to File and Options. Go to File and Options. Under the Formula, second tab, right? Under the Formula, Working with Formula. Excel option, Formulas, Working with Formulas. Generally, this is not ticked. Generally, this is not ticked. But if you want, you can tick it. But sometimes when you are working back in a normal Excel calculations, you are very familiar with this A1 style. So you can come back here and untick and work with the normal Excel. But here, when I'm working with macro, sometimes it may be easy for me to do a R1C1 reference style. R1C1 reference style. So I'm saying tick that box and say OK. Now you can see the difference in your Excel. There is no alphabetic in the header, right? So your header is also become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's easy to work with. Okay. So this one is called Excel option. Then you can go for the formulas. Then you go for a working with formulas. There you will have R1C1 style. R1C1 style. Right. Okay. Now, if you want to refer any cells, it's easy. Like if you click this one, Excel will give you in 14, 4, row 14, column 4. You select anything else, row 16, column C8, right? Okay, let me go back to this one. So I'm going to select a cell, right? So I'm going to select a cell. So in Excel, the active cell where your cell is currently clicked. So for example, if I select this one, R1C1 is the active cell now. R1C1 is the active cell now. So this is one of the syntax here. So active cell, right? Active cell is a name. Active cell means Excel will understand what it is, right? Active cell, right? So now I wanted to identify active cell. So if I say active cell, Excel will not care about. Excel will not care about what is the row, what is the column, and so on. But Excel will get it. If I click here, Excel will understand what is the active cell. If I click here, Excel will change the active cell to here. So one is I'm going to use the active cell, right? Active cell as my operation. Then what I want is from the active cell, I want to go for a 10 columns, right? From the active cell, I want to go 10 columns. So keep with me, new things you are learning. So it's not very difficult, but keep with me. So from the active cell, I'm going to offset. Offset meaning is what? Offset from an active cell, how many cell I want to offset. Maybe I just put arbitrary X comma Y, but you can define that, right? You can define that, right? So what I'm going to do is, you can use different methods to do this one. So let me work with something. So if this is the active cell, what is my task? I want to go from, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? I need to do some operation up to here. And also downwards also the same. So I'm going to work with this range. I'm going to work with this range. Wherever I select, I want to go from this range, right? So basically, let me loop, because I want to go through this, and then I want to go through this, right? So this is the number what I want to do. So let me introduce a loop. What is the meaning of loop? I'm cycling through some ranges. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then again 1, 2, 3, 4, so 10. So basically I'm going to run through this one as well as through this one, right? So let me start typing so that you will understand. Right. Now what I'm going to do is active cell, active cells, active cell, right? Offset, active cell offset. There are some helping line is coming. How many rows offset? How many columns offset, right? The first offset is 0, 0. What is the meaning of 0, 0? I'm not offsetting. I know I'm not offset anything. That means it refers to the active cell. It refers to the active cell, right? So let me say active cell is equal to 1. Don't worry about anything. Just understand this code. Active cell means you know what it is. If I am clicking this one, this is the active cell. If I am clicking this one, this is the active cell. From the active cell, how many offset I am doing? 0 column, 0 row. That means active cell itself coming, right? Active cell itself remaining there. And I want to make that as a 1. So in this case, let me go back to this example where we want our problem. So in my case, active cell must be H3, which is this one, right? Yeah, this is where our column were there. So basically this should be my active cell. This should be my active cell. Let me try again the same, but then instead of 1, let me say I want to type as this is the active cell now, right? So basically, you will be having this font written over there in the active cell. This is the active cell now. And all sort of these codes are remaining there. So you will execute entire code. So you will be doing all these format, but additionally, we have added this one. So let me try the code now. Control Shift A, right? Control Shift A. Control Shift A. You can see you have formatted everything. And since my cursor was here, the active sheet has written with this is the active cell now, right? So now you clear what your code is doing. So I delete this and I delete this one also. Let me select this one. Now my active cell is this one. Now Control Shift A, you can see here, you have written this is the active cell now, but the format what is given here is bold, italic, strike through, etc. Right? Clear? I mean, this exercise is interesting when you are doing along with me. When you are doing along with me. So if you are not doing, let me know so that I can trying to slow down, but this is important. Right. Let me go back to the code. Now I have put 0, 0, so it's working. So if instead of that, let's say for an example, I want to do this cell. I want to do this cell. So let me clean everything. Let me clean everything. Now what I want is from the active cell, the third one. From the active cell from the active cell, second one. From the active cell, the second one to be written as this one. So let me say offset. How many offset? Row wise, there is no offset I want. Row wise, say I am putting second column. I will say this is 2 cells away from active cell. 2 from active cell. Because active cell is something which we define or click, but from there, no rows, but 2 columns, right? No rows, but 2 columns. Let me check the code now, right? I have cleared everything. Press Control Shift A. You can see here, active cell, what has happened? Sorry. You need to select the active cell correctly. So this is the active cell. Now you can run the code. What is happening is this was my active cell, but the code is telling active cell offset, no rows, but 2 columns. This is the second cell away from active cell. Understood? Is it interesting? Are you all following the logic? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Okay. Now we are, I mean, so far I am trying to put manually, right? Trying to put manually 0, 1, etc. So now I'm going to loop through. So there are several loops are there. So let me say 4 loops. For an arbitrary number, say I, an arbitrary number I, ranging from 1 to 10, right? 1 to 10. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make this I running from 1 to 10. That means first time when I execute this I become 1, then second time I is equal to 2, third time I is equal to 3, and so on, right? So what I want is active cell offset. I don't want the row to be offset, but the column to be offset by I. But the first instant, I want active cell also to be changed. So here I am doing I minus 1. Can you understand? When the I is equal to 1, I minus 1 becomes 0. When the I is equal to 10, I minus 1 becomes 9. That means basically 0 to 9. If you want, you can run that also. 0 to 9 also you can put, but in that case, you don't need to delete minus here. Both are possible, right? But you should know why I am putting 0 to 9 or 1 to 10 because I have 10 columns, right? Because I have 10 columns. Can you understand this now? Next, I. So this is a syntax. Don't worry. This is a syntax for an I for loop. So when you are writing anything within for loop, anything you type, it will repeat it 9 times. Sorry, the 10 times, right? It will repeat it 10 times. Now let's see. I can't type this one, right? This is no meaning. So I will say some numbers. Maybe instead of all these text, shall I put numbers now? I is 0, but the first cell must be I plus 1, right? So I'm instead of now any text, I'm putting a number. Now my first number is 0, so 0 plus 1. My first offset will be 1. Can we run this one and see? Can we run this one and see? So let me clear everything. Let me clear everything and make this as the active cell. Make this as an active cell and run my shortcut key, that is Control-Shift-A, right? Who puts this 1, 2, 3, 4 now? Was it me? No, right? The code is putting, because you have altered the code in such a way that every offset when it goes, we are putting the number, the corresponding number. You can change anything. You can change anything. Say for example, header as a text, and then combine with the number. You know how to combine with the number and sign, and this one. Now if you run the code, after deleting everything, if you run the code again, Control-Shift-A, you can see here header 1, header 2, header 3, header 4, and all the formatting has been done. Is it understood? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So I have done my part on the header type, right? I have done the part on the header, and the rest is done by this shortcut key. Now don't worry. Let me not to worry about the code which is recorded, but I'm going to do something along with what I have done, right? So now let me clear everything. Now let me clear anything, but I'm going to select this as my active. Say for example, 17.1. Can you see my active cell now? Or maybe put it here. This is my active cell, right? This is my active cell. So if I run the code, what will happen? The coloring and formatting will be happening here. Coloring and formatting will happening here because that is done by Excel as a fixed cell reference, not the relative cell reference. But here, what I have done in our own code relate to the active cell. So if I run the code, what will happen? Here the formatting will be there, but here where our active cell, there you will get header 1, header 2, header 3, header 4, isn't it? So let me try. So save this one. Yeah, and now select this as the active cell. Control-Shift-A. You can see here the recorded macro format is goes there, but then what I have written as the insert here, header 1, header 2, header 3 is coming here, right? All these are coming here. So now you know what's the logic and how these codes are running. So basically it's run through step by step and calculating and putting whatever you want, you can do, right? So right now it's like this. So now I want to apply this this particular color coding also in the same way, right? For the color coding also same way. There are too many colors are there. So can I try only one color? So let me say active cell. So what I'm going to do is active cell offset by 1, something I want, right? Something I want. So I want to type something. Why? Because active cell, what to do, it's not given. So Excel is giving a warning, don't worry. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do some interior color, right? So let me select the interior color we have. Yes. Okay, let me select any color. The first one is the dark red. This one is the red. This one is orange. This one is yellow. So let me select this one, right? Let me select this one and bring it here, right? So I'm going to do dot. I'm going to do dot interior, then dot interior dot color. Excel is automatically give you the helping line color color dot not color. Then you can define your color, right? Then you can define your color. Any color you can put. So according to our recorded macro, this is belongs to the yellow color, I think. So let keep it there. So if I run this one now, what will happen? All these formats will be there, but this one, the below the headers, we will get yellow. So let me try. Let me try by clearing everything. Select anywhere. Say I'm selecting here. Control Shift. Sorry, there is a copy we have done, right? We need to delete that. Right. Control. Let me select this one. Okay. Control Shift A. Have we deleted that? Yeah. This was H, right? This was H, right? Select this one and Control Shift A. I have deleted something which is going errors. Where it is? Sorry, the key is running. Okay. Yeah. So now select this one, Control Shift A. So now what happened? The recorded macro is goes to the fixed cells. My relative cells are coming, header 1, header 2, header 3, but the bottom, all these converted to yellow. You can do anywhere you want, the same will be happening. So let me select this one and put it there. So the same thing happens. So anywhere you can put, the same thing will happen, right? So that's how the codes work. So now, if you want a different color for a different cells, still you can do that. Depends on what's the number you want. You can play around. You can play around and say, right? If you want some arbitrary color also, still possible. So let me say there is a color code for RGB. There's a color code for RGB. And you can say what is the red color number, green color number, and blue color number. So let me just put some arbitrary color, say 200 plus I, 200 plus I, comma, I'm just putting it 150 plus I, comma, say 90 plus or 60 plus I, 60 plus I, just an arbitrary number, right? So that it will not give you the green color now. It will give you a, depends on the I number, but your I's are very small, so the range will not be visible. Let me select 10 plus I into I, 10 plus I into I, then 20 into I, and then 15 into I. Yeah. 15 to I will be problem because you cannot go beyond 255, right? Okay, let me see. Right. So anyway, this now we are not keeping any constant color. Depends on different I. The numbers are going to change. So let me try here. Control Shift A. What happens is you can see here dark green to light green, right? Can you? If you change your color codes, you will get something else. So let me put 100 here. You will find something else. You can see how changing. Okay, so this is enough for you. Probably you can play around with any colors, any formats and any. So we have already taken the interior color. Now let me take the font color also. Here what we are going to do is again for the same this one, let me select the font color, right? Let me select the font color. Font dot color is equal, you can put anything, maybe let me say red, right? And then try again. So before that, let me select all and clear everything, right? Right. So let me select Control Shift A. By active cell offset font color, maybe this color is not taking. Font color, shall we go for the font color? What we want is this one, right? Right. Right. Control Shift A. You can see here now. Formatting is already there and the header numbers, but the header color is red color.
Excuse me, sir. You are muted.
Oh, sorry. Where I stopped. So anyway, so what I have done is I have copy paste this one and then active cell offset. You can add on anything. So earlier I have put only font.color, now font.bold, font.italic, and font.strike through. Everything I made true. So basically, all this what I have done is for the header. Then the next row number 1, next row what I have done is I have added the background color, random color or a unique color or whatever, right? So if you want some borders to be done, again, what you can do is you can go through this border style, where it is selection, selection borders. Only thing is when we do this Excel borders, it's a little bit of a tricky because you need to have individual ones. This left, top, bottom, right, you need to do separately. So maybe what you can do is we select the range and you can do it. So shall I leave that for a time being? So I will delete all these ones. All what we have recorded, I have deleted. All what we have recorded, I have deleted. Now I have simplified the code so that I can easily work with and understandable, right? So now I'm going to this cell and I have deleted everything. Let me say I clear everything. Here also I do the same. Now if I select the same cell here and press Ctrl+Shift+A, what I am going to do is I do bold, italic, etc., and make the font red and do something. And not necessary to be here. Anywhere you do the same. Anywhere you want this format, you can do. So when you have a table or a chart or something, is the table header and the formatting is almost similar kind. You can change your column width, you can change your row height, you can change the background colors. Everything you can do within this code. Everything you can do within this code, and then just run it. Then just run it. It will run for anywhere, right? So that's why this writing macro and editing macro is useful stuff, because you will not do things which are repetitive. If you are repetitively doing something, then your life become easy. Your life become very easy, right? Within a fingertip, you just click the shortcut key, you are done. Right. So that's the fundamental for both of this case, right? Now, let me go for this one. Probably, okay, let's run this one. So second example is again on the same. So you have given with the name and the numbers and the marks for a particular module. Now what has given is place a fill background color. So in conditional formatting, we have already done in previous classes. So conditional formatting, you can done this very easily. But then you need to go for a conditional formatting and you have to do some manual operations. But when you are running a whole set of automation, you need to do everything A to Z automate, right? So you cannot then stop somewhere in the middle and then do some manual operation and then come back. So here what we are going to do, though it can be done in conditional formatting, but we are trying to do through macro. So what is the what we want? Wherever the marks is greater than 75, wherever the marks is greater than 75, I want to fill with some color, say this light yellow or anything, right? So what I want is I want to do some background here, but depends on some condition. So now I am at Excel B, right? Excel B. So let me save this as again and change this one to B. Change this one to B and save. because I'm going to change the code, right? So now, or else you can change, you can add another module also if you want, right? Okay, so since I have changed this file name, so I will continue to work with this one if you don't mind. So I will delete everything. I'm going to delete everything but is here. So first thing I want to know, okay, what I have to do, I need to go through this column, right? I need to go through this column. That is what this column is, R7, C7, column, row number 7 and column 3. Then I have to go one by one. I have to go one by one, and if you select Control down key, I can go to the bottom of the marks, right? If you press again Control down key, you will go to the most extreme column, right? Most extreme row. Then if you go back on Control up, you will come to the last row. You will come to the last row, right, in Excel. So you can mimic the same in Excel VBA also. If you want to find out the last row, in column, sorry, last row, what is the number? In this case, what is the last row number is 145, right? Last row 145. But you can't, I mean, you can do by manual, but then you need to automate this one. So first you need to know what is your last number, that is 145. You need to identify that and then start working with the number. Anyway, for the time being, what I'm doing is I'm going to loop through this one, I to 154, 145, right? 145. I'm going to change, right? I'm going to change this. I is equal 1 to 145, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scan through these numbers. I'm going to scan through this number. Then where I am starting, not 1, actually it is starting from 7, right? Actually it is starting from 7. So 7 to 145, I'm going to check this mark sheet, right? I'm going to change this mark sheet. So let's say, for an example, sheet. Okay, for the time being, I will skip this one and cells. So if you want to identify a cell in our numbers, what is the cell number? 7,3, right? Cell number 7,3. So this is where my marks is available. This is where my marks is available. So now I want to check this value. Whether that is greater than 75. Correct? So I need to type some if condition. If is cell 7,3 greater than 75, then I'm going to do some operation, right? So I'm going to do something. If it is not, I will not do anything. So just finish it, right? To make the code clear, I'm clicking here and put a tab key so that you will be rearranging. This is within one tab on the right hand side. So for I is equal to 1 to 175, that is ranging from here, I'm going to check every value whether it is greater than 75. Every value whether it is greater than 75. If it is true, then I'm going to do something. If it is true, I'm going to do something. Then finally, next I, right? So this is the main loop. Within that main loop, I am going to do some if condition. If the if condition is satisfied, I'm going to type something. So if the cell is satisfied, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some interior color where it is here. I'm going to put some interior color to this one, right? So they are cells 7,3. I'm going to add some interior color. What color? Any color is okay. Shall I put some RGB. Okay, leave it as it is. No need to have some. No need to have some this one. Let me say 150, 200, and 100. Right. So any number, just okay. So cell with this one, but this is a fixed cell, right? 7,3 is a starting point. 7,3 is a starting point, but I need to go one by one in this one. So I cannot put fixed numbers here. 3 is what? The column. 3 is what? The column. So that's okay. We cannot change this one. So that is fine. So 3 cannot be changed, but the 7 has to be changed from 7 to 145. So I'm putting I here. I'm putting I here. So now what I'm going to do is first time when the I becomes 7, so I comma 3 whether greater than 45. If satisfied, then its code goes inside the code and then interior color will be changed and then NDIF and so on. So let me delete all the rest. Let me delete all the rest and save it. Now if I go back and Control Shift A, there is a one next is additional next is here. So let me stop the code and then delete this one. Save it. Now select Control Shift A. What you can see here is the code is highlighting wherever the marks greater than 75. Wherever the marks greater than 75. Understood? Is it clear? But you can add little bit things to this one. Suppose, let me see, if I go to a new sheet and if I apply the same, like for example, you have 7, you know. So let's say, for example, you have a number here, say 80, right? Now, mistakenly, you are in a different sheet and pressing the same shortcut key, running the macro, Control Shift A, but still it is working. But it should not be. It should not be because you may have a different set of data. You don't want that there. You want to highlight only the mark sheet, right? So because of that, you need to fix where you want this to happen. If you don't fix it, any Excel sheet, the Excel will run. So here what I'm going to do is in the Excel name, sheet name, I am going to double click and copy, Control C, so that I want this code to be run only in this sheet. So right now it is open, right? That right now it is open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer the sheet name here. SHWET sheet within bracket. I'm going to add the sheet name, right? I'm going to add the sheet name. Sheet name is example B. Now, if you run this one, this will run only in this one. This will run only in this one. So I will copy this one and put it here. Now, if I go back to the new sheet, what I have added here and delete this one. So let's say border. Okay, delete this one and make the number 80. So if I run the macro again in this sheet, it will not work. Why? Because it's now the code is referring which sheet to be executed. So it's only run in this particular sheet, right? So we have added one more thing, not only cell, but you need to refer the sheet. But if you have more than one workbook, like say you have a different set workbook open at the same time, then you need to give the workbook name also. Then you can add the workbook name also here. So I will not do that now, but you can add on the detail later, right? So now let me go back to this 145 business because now I have manually taken this 145, but actually saying probably different sheet have different set of data. So every time I need to go through and check this where it's sending and so on. So it's a little bit of a difficult task, right? So to do that, I have given you a helping line in the VBA sheet. You can go here. You can see how to find the last row in a column or a row. So you can see here to find out the last row, you can put Excel function. What is the meaning of the Excel function is basically this one. You go down to the most extreme and come up by Control up key, then you will end up with the last one, as we did just now, right? So the same explanation can be put it here. So Excel column counts mean the entire column count. Excel will count the maximum count, then goes upwards, Excel to left, right? To find out the column. Excel to up will fill for the row. Maybe for the time being, I will copy paste this one. I will copy paste this one. Even you can copy paste this one. Right. So you bring this here. You bring that to here. So this is going to give you the last row for you. Then you can store this one in another box. We call variables, right? We put it in another variable, say last row. So I'm defining a new variable. So in Excel, what you can do, you can declare the variable under dimension, DIM, last row. This one is integer number, right? So you can integer or a long, but you can put it. Maybe I will put it as an integer, but sometime if you have a very long list, integer, you can change to long. That's okay. And if you wish, you can define this one also, dim as integer, right? So we have defined a variable, so we have given that. Now what I'm going to do is the last row is a variable, like for an example, your purse, right? Or your box. So within that box, you are going to put some number there. So now Excel will calculate the last row in this one. Excel will calculate the last row in this one and then put it to this variable. So we need to define what my Excel has to do. Which is the column? Is it going to search here, or is it going to search here, or is it going to search here? Basically, I'm going to do the operation here. But for an example, let's say you don't have entered the data here, right? You don't have entered the data here, but you have the person name. You have the person name. But if you search for this column, basically you miss everybody here, right? Because the top control up key will select this one and end up with 138. So you need to be careful enough to check your data, which column is perfect, which column is perfect. If the number column is perfect, you can use the column 1. If the name column is perfect, you can use the name column. So let me say the name column is perfect. So I'm going to use the second column as my counting column, right? Second column as my counting column. So for cells, rows is you don't need to change, but which column to check is you can change. Here I am putting 2 because I'm going to check 2 because searching the name column, right? Searching the name column. So now you don't need to put it as a fixed number. Copy this one, and instead of 145, I'm going to change this, right? I'm going to change this one. Now your code will dynamically change according to the row number. According to the row number. Say now save this one and go back to your code. If you do all the formatting, if you remove the formatting, right? And if you run the code now, Control-Shift-A, the same results will come in, right? Now let me say I have a name XYZ, right? And then say some numbers 45, 56, 67, 25, something, right? 23. Okay, so I have added some numbers here, right? Now your code will automatically work because it will searching for column 2 And now your number becomes 149. Let me run the code under the Control Shift A. You can see here the code is running up to here now. Code is running up to here because we don't use the manual fixed numbers. It is that arbitrary numbers. The Excel will identify what is the last row. What is the last row. Is it understood for you all? Yes or no? Right. Keep this as a core. Keep this as a core, and little by little you can change your coding styles. Right. Keep this as a core and try to change and play with the numbers. Right. Okay. So let me save this one and under C. Right. Under C is a little bit of an interesting. If you are doing any calculation, it can be any calculation. In your company, you have a different policy to calculate the discount rate. You may have a different allowance rate when a particular salesperson is doing a good job. The manager will promote them by giving some incentives and so on. So there can be any function. Y is equal ax plus b or a1 x1 plus b1, whatever. If you are repetitively using that in particular case, it can be any formula, but you are doing that repetitively. There are two keywords here. One is you are using that formula often, very often, frequently you are using. And the other one is you are using at a different place in Excel. Like in sheet 1 also you are using, sheet 1 here also you are using, sheet 2 here also you are using. So all over the place, if you are using a same function for some kind of a reason, then create your own function is useful. Creating your own function is useful. So let me take a simple example, that is breaking distance. The formula is given here. Those who don't learn the breaking distance yet, don't worry. But I think most of you might have. Anyway, the equation is given here. The initial velocity 2g over f plus or minus g, the gradient and everything is there. So if you know the v1, g, f, etc., then you can use the formula, the Excel formula 100, then change the conversion into 1000 over 3000 and all these formulas, and then you can calculate. There is no issue in using Excel existing formulas to calculate this one. But when you want to calculate many places here and there, then you have to carefully type this one every time. It's a difficult, right? It's a difficult task. So you want to type a function here. You want to type a function here. So let me go to this module. Under module, you insert a new module. And even you can type it here itself. Let me insert a new module. And under the second module, I'm going to insert a new formula, right? So function, F-U-N-C-T-I-O-N, function. And then you put a name for that function. Say breaking distance, B distance, breaking distance, right? So you have created a function, right? And what are the variables you want? You want to have a velocity, initial velocity V1, and G is a constant you don't need to put there, and friction you need to find, and G you need to find. So 1, 2, 3 variables you need to ask from people. So first one is the V. Maybe you can put V1 or V, right? V1 as V1 is the velocity, so usually an integer. But you can put double also, right? Then what we want is small f, as small f is also double because it's a decimal place. Then gradient is also double, g as double, right? So you have defined v1 f g, right? Now you put simple formula. But my final answer is breaking distance is equal what? Breaking distance is equal, go to this one, and you easily can get this formula. But then, yeah, let me check. Let me put it here. So what I'm doing is I just type the formula here. Instead of this 100, I want to put V1, right? V1 all the square to G instead of this form F, and instead of this G, I will put plus G so that the sign will come here. So I will put plus G. Simple, done. Save, go there in your Excel where I want, here I want to put my formula. What is my own formula is BDIS, right? The Excel is considering your formula because you have taken as a function, right? You have put it as a function. So Excel has already added in the library your own function. So BDIS is equal. You need to put 3 parameters. What are the parameters? One is 100. One is 100. Then you need to put F. Then you need to put G, right? So these are the parameters you have to put. So let me say 100, and this one is 0.5, and this one is mine. Let me put plus now, 0, 1. So you will get, if you want to check the previous case, let me check 0.5, 0.45, and the down gradient minus 0.01 is given there. So the answer is correct, right? So now the beauty of this one is anywhere you can type. Anywhere you can type the DIS, and you don't need to worry about the formula. What is the formula? Because people don't carry their formula in their heads, right? Because sometimes this formula may be even bigger. So keeping that whole formula in your brain and start working with all the numbers, so you may make some mistake. So you have, you don't want the laymen to bring all these formula. You written the formula, but then in your office, you have given the Excel. So he will start typing the formula, and they don't want the background behind the scene. What is the calculation? They don't want, right? So it's very simple. Is that clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we have done the C, D. It's the matter for me. Okay. Now we are in the D. D, what we want to do is how to combine information from different sheet to a single sheet, right? How to find, combine the information from different sheet to the single sheet. So here you can see, let me go back to the your data. Right. I think I intend to use the other sheet, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So you have sales data in a different sheets. So sales in 2020, sales 195, 19 and 18 and so on. So now I want to bring all these. Before that, you need to check all these are in the same format and the number of columns are same and so on, right? But we can have different columns, different rows, but the columns must be same to merge the data. So, so here I have inserted the year. Let me bring that to this one because keeping that year, we can adjust it later. So do this change here. So I want to add the year because you have this one, right? You have 7 column table. Right. So the 7 column data everywhere, it's 7 column data. So I don't want to change in my original one. So I will also have the 7 column. But in addition, you need to have your year data. Otherwise, after combining these all, you will lose the information, right? because you will have this copied and pasted here, but then at the end you don't know what's the year, which data is from which year. So because of that, carefully you need to add one more variable to your data, that is the year, right? So now let's this is D, right? So let me just go to the developer. I'm going to record a macro, but there is no meaning in what I want to record, but just record it and say example D. Example D. And put the shortcut key as Control-Shift-D and type it as collect or data pooling, right? Data pooling, right? So stop it and also stop the macro. You may ask why I didn't do anything, because the entire code I'm going to type, but then go to Visual Basic. So I have added the third module. Which is example D, right? So I'm going to type, I didn't do any operation, I just created and stopped. So automatically the Excel will create the module, but I'm going to type my own codes here, right? So what is my purpose? I want to go through this sheet and then bring the data to here, right? I need to go through this sheet and bring the data to here. There are various ways to do. There are many different ways to do. Efficiency we will look at later. But for the time being, what I'm going to do is, if you want to copy one data to the other sheet, say for an example, cell or range or whatever you can use, range. So range, let me put it in some common this one. So let's say my data is starting from everywhere. My data is starting from third row, right? Everywhere my data is starting from third row. So that uniformity is there. So I have to start from third row. And then my input data, where I want to collect the data, it's starting at 8, 2. Can you see here? 8, 2. So my data should go to 8, 2. 8, 2, right? This is the data where I should start entering. And the origin of the data, let's start from 2020 then. If you want to start from 2020 or maybe 2015, whatever, you can start putting here. So let me check 2015. So 2015 data is starting from here. That is 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. And the last row in this one is 843.7. 843.7, right? 843.7. Okay. Right. So these are numbers, just keep it in mind or write it in a short paper somewhere in your book or papers. 843.7. So this is where we are going to start, right? So let me say range. Shall we go back to cells? Cells. Let's work with the number, the range. My first cell of the range is 3, 1. My last cell of the range is 843, 7, right? So this is the range I'm going to select. Dot, right? Dot copy, right? The destination where I want, right? The destination where I want. So let me say where I want is 8, where I want is 8, 2, right? 8, 2. And let me copy this name of the sheet also, example D. So sheet, sheets, the name of the sheet is example D. And where I am going to put that one is cells, sheet dot cells 8,2. Remember, this is where I want to paste it, right? So here I put range. Here also better to put the sheet name. So let me go back to the original sheet where I want to collect the information is this one, right? So that is sales as it is. So I don't want to manually type. So I'm just double clicking in the sheet name and copying this one and put it there. Sheets, double quote, dot, you put the sheet name. Now you can understand this code from the sheet name this, the range, entire range from 312 to 837 is copied. And where I am pasting sheet example D at the point cells 8,2. Let's see whether we are making any mistake or it's running perfect, right? Shortcut key is Control-Shift-D. So let me check here. Before that, let me say example D, right? So Control-Shift-D. Control-Shift-D is giving some issues. Application definer, object define error. Probably somewhere we are making mistake. Let me keep this as it is and working with the, let me go back to the normal A1 style. A1 style. And if you go back to this 15 data, right? The first cell is A3. The first cell is A3. Then the last cell in the table is G843, right? A3G43. I'm writing this down in my notebook. So A3 to G843. And where I want to paste this one is in the A1 style to B8, right? So I will type it here. So what I want to do is A3 to G843. 843 is the input. What is the output? Output is in this sheet, B8, right? So I'm going to put this one in my code. Let me see. Let me copy this one and range A3 to G843, copy sheet example D range B8. Understood? So in A3 to G84 is copied and pasting in the example D at the range B8, right? At the range B8. But it is giving sheet inverted comma double quote, right? Save. Now if you press Control-Shift-D, you can see here the data from 2015 has brought to the end, and you can check whether the last row is correct. You can check whether the last row is correct. That is Eli's file X or something. Can we check that? Yes. So your first information has brought into the data, right? Your first information has brought into the data. Now, this is not enough. Now you need to bring the year here. You need to bring the year here, right? So there are a couple of problems you may face. One is you need to add the year, right? Second one, unfortunately, this data entries, they haven't used the same format. Like you can see here, there is a 2015, 2016, 20. So some are put just an year, some are put same sales made in year, and different names are there. But at least they have used the year in the name, but we have difficult time in searching these numbers, right? We have difficult time in searching these numbers. So let me say there are different ways to handle this one, depends on the problem. So one thing you can see, this one is, this is the sheet number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the data is starting from sheet number 7. So 7th sheet 2, 7, then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So 7 to 12, so 12. These are the sheet I want to work with. If you have your data in this order, and if you don't worry about the year, then you can just apply this rule. But if you have if you have intermediate, there are some unnecessary data, then you need to go for additional checkings, right? So, so this one is only 1 year has been checked now. Only 1 year has been checked now, right? So let me go through. Let me go through. First one is your name is 2015, and there are some sales numbers and etc. is available. So I really don't want anything what is it called, this text. I want only the year. I want only the year. So what we have to do is we need to check for some. We need to check for some the numbers only, and then whether that is an year. Whether that is an year. So basically, it gives a trouble for us because the names are changing. Right. Anyway, we will do that. So what we have to do is, if you go back to your Excel, and I don't know whether you have in your sheet is not there. Anyway, so there is a function called inString. Inside the string, inside the set string, inString, INSTR, inString, inside the string, you can search for something. Inside the string, you can search for something. So what we have to search for, we need to search for the number. We need to search for the number, whether that is available in the particular name. So in this case, our starting number is, we are starting from the very beginning. And what is the string we want to find? An year, right? An year we want to find. So let me say year. And where we want to find within what? So it's the sheet name, right? So sheet name. So let me say a set name. So whatever the sheet name. So, and then we are going to search for it. So if there is a positive number is coming, meaning that in that particular sheet name, there is a year. In the particular sheet name, there is an year, right? So if this number is positive, then meaning is that particular year is in that name. Particular year is in that name, right? So let me say, if it is accepted, then what I'm going to do is, for the time being, let me say a message for you to understand. Message, you are putting a custom message. It's an year. It's an year, right? It's an year. And finish this one, end if, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to check this one. So what is the year? For the time being, let me define what is year. Dimension, year. I'm declaring a variable, year as an integer. and then sh name dimension, sh name as it's a name, right? So we will deal with string, right? So let me define my year as now I am dealing with 2005, right? 2015, and my string name is this one. So file name is this one, right? File name is this one. Right. So before that, I think we can do with different alternatives, but anyway, year is given, so this one is defined. Now let me check this code, but what is running, right? Before I will disable this copy paste business. So let me see what will happen if I run this code. So I will click here and I can run this here itself, F5. So when you do F5, where it is, you can press F8 keys, so that you can one by one you can run. So now you can see the year is 2015 and the sheet name is this one, and it's not going in. That means that is not there. Maybe what I am making mistake is it must be sheet name, and the year comes in the search. Year come in the search, and then now if I run the program, it says it's an year, right? So that means year is searched within this name, and if that is available, then there will be a number, and you are satisfied with the condition. So it's going inside and telling it's an year. If it is an year, then you do this operation. If it is an year, then you do this operation. Right? You understood the logic? So now I don't want the message box. So if the sheet name is, if the sheet name has an year, then you copy paste this one. Otherwise not, right? So basically go back to the delete everything, clear all. Now let me say, yeah, okay. Let me say, right. Let me say now the sheet name I have manually put, right? Manually put. Now I will do something for each SH name, for each SH name, I'm going to search all the file names in my book, For each SH name in worksheets. Next. These are some of the new codes, don't worry about, but quite often you will be using this one. So now what I'm going to do is within the worksheets, I'm going to search all the sheets. Starting from 1 to end, I'm going to search all the sheets. And wherever there is a year, then I'm going to take that as a data. There are some dangers, but you need to, depends on your data, you need to work with. So here I don't have anything, only the data has an year. So I'm going to play with this. So for each sheet name, what I'm going to do is I will get a name, and then I'm run through my name range, or what is it called, this year range. So I'm going to do with for year 2015, for, let me put some other numbers, say year is equal 1 to, maybe just put J is equal 2000. So now what we have done is we have taken the WS and then going to do this one. So let's play now one by one by pressing F8. So next step is year is taken. So now I don't want this year, but anyway, I didn't read that. Now it's going to check for the first worksheet. Right now, worksheet is nothing. You can see here in the screen, nothing. Once you go in, it is going to take the first, why still nothing? Let me do the message box so that you can confirm that ws.name, right? So now if I go through F8, correct, right? So Excel is going to take the first workbook name, sorry, the worksheet name, that is VBA, and then going to check what is going to happen. So then if you press F8, the first year is going to be taken 15, and then it's going to check whether that name is within this one. It's not, goes there. Then it's take the year 16, then 17, then 20. So nothing is there. Then goes to the second one, example A, and then again check, it will not be there. So similarly, we can go to the final. So I don't want any of these now. I can delete this. And message box also nonsense for me, so I don't want that. So make it this one. So now it's going to check everything and this one. So when we are writing, now we don't want the constant one. We need to go for a particular ws.name, right? So whatever selected here, that will be copied and this one. Now there's another problem here. Now we can see here, this is a fixed range, right? A3 to G, but 2015, it's correct. But 2017, I don't know. 2017 may be a different data. 2020 maybe, let's see, 2020 may be a different data, G252, right? So that also have to be taken care. So how do we take care about that? So we need to identify what is the last row from each seat, right? What is the last row from each seat? In the previous module, we have identified what is the last row definition is this, right? So what I will copy this one. So every time when the seat is selected, I need to first identify the last row. What is the last row, right? So if I know the last row, then I can play with. So I will define the last row also. So last row is a new variable. So let me define here. Dim last row as integer. I have defined. So now once it is satisfied, and now I'm going to search for the last row of this one. Last row of what? You cannot put just cell because you need to define which seat you are referring, the WS sheet you are referring, right? So whatever the selected sheet you are referring. So WS, select the row count, which column you want to search, that depends on you, depends on the data, either column 1 or column 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. In this case, it's a perfect data. So anything you can select. So I will select the 1, right? I will select the 1. I will select the 1. So this will give you the last row data. So accordingly, you need to change this number. Accordingly, you need to change this number, correct? Right. So here, we need to change the last row. So it's going to be changed, right? It's going to be changed. So A3 will not change, G will not change. So I will make this as a text and combine with the number. So instead of a fixed number, I'm going to change with last row. Understood? So A3 to G, some number. Copied. Seat. Example D will be where I want to paste it. And right now it is BD, but for the time being, it's okay. But when you add the more and more sheets, it's not BD. It's going to be something else. Why? Because first time when I'm copying, I will copy something here, right? But then second set of data when I copy, you cannot copy here. You need to put it here, right? At the end of the first set, at the end of the first set. So I hope you are carrying with me. So for here, for the time being, shall I just say only 2015? Because I don't want to make the code lengthier. So I'm going to check only 15, right? I'm going to check only 15. So I will save this code and then go back and run the code, Control-Shift-D. So what you have done is you have done only for 2015, right? Only for 2015, correct? So now you can see here, we have started with B8, right? We started with B8, right? We started with B8. Let me put this message box so that you will be understanding. Message box, last row, right? Message box, last row. That means this message will tell you what is your last row, right? So let me run the code again. Control-Shift-D. The last row is 843. 843 for 2015. 2015, the last row is 843. Okay, so I will note it down here. 843, right? So I started with B8 and inserted 843 rows, right? Can you check whether that is coming correct? 843. 843 I have inserted. I have started at B8, right? I started with B8. So finally, where I'm end up with, is that, yeah, sorry. Wait. What we can do is we need to do some other calculation, right? This is in terms of the rows, right? In terms of the rows. So this is my last row, right? Where was my starting? Anybody? Starting row is what? Anyone quickly? My last row is 843, right? My last row is 843. What is my starting row? (2015) data, right? My last row is 843. What is my first row? First row is 3 always, right? First row is 3 always. First row is always 3. So that's mean you can get number of rows by calculation. What is the number of rows? Anybody? Minus this one plus 1, right? Starting row, end row minus last row plus 1, right? If you want, you can check it manually going there. Let me select this one, Control-Shift-Down key. Control-Shift-Down key. You can see here the number of counts is 841. Is it correct? 841, correct. Now 841 rows we have inserted, starting from B1. So sorry, the B8. So at the output, at the output cell, we started with 8 and we have inserted 841. So can you calculate the end row? Can you calculate the end row? Anybody, just please. What is the end row number?
842.
848, because you can see here 848, but we need to calculate this, because to automate you need to calculate this. How do we calculate? We started with 8 plus we inserted 841 because we started at the 8, right? So we need the end row is 848, and the new entry should start at this one. Clear? the new entry should start from this one. That means B8949. Is that clear to you all? Okay, now how do we get this 849? We need to consider these 3. We need to consider the previous last row, and then where our original is starting. So 8 will be there, and 3 will be there, and this one will be there. So we need to keep this going, right? We need to keep this going. Initial at the very first entry, output started at 8, and we have inserted 843 data. Therefore, the next one should start here, right? Next one should start here. And then certain number of data will be entered, and then you will be calculating the third entry should go there, right? So this logic, you need to put it in the macro also to continue this, right? So can somebody tell me what is the formula then? Initial starting, we have done this one, and the final starting is this one, and so on. You are continuing. So we need to keep one number at store. So maybe what we can do is at the very first entry, we need to start where the output starting time, output starting row, and the number of entries, right? Output starting row. So when this is satisfied, we need to keep eye on 2 things. What is our starting row, right? At the output level, So shall we say dim out start as integer. So that's mean output file starting, right? Similarly, I want to say out, no need, because you have this last row numbers now. Also, if you want, you can keep it number of rows. That of course a constant you can calculate. No need to have a separate variable, right? Okay. So here what we can do is this is right. So this one we need to deal with. So the very first stage, you can see this out start is 8, right? When we start the program, the starting number is 8. So when we come here, this is the first time it's coming into this loop, right? It's the first time coming into the loop. So something we need to do after you finding the last row, maybe here. So you do 8, and then you do all these calculations. So what I am going to do is B and sign. Instead of 8, I am going to put out start, right? Instead of this one, I'm going to put output starting number. Once you finish this one, you need to change this starting point now. You need to change the starting point. The new starting point will be, can you tell somebody the logic? The previous starting point, that is 8, plus last row, previous starting point, plus last row, minus 1, the plus 1. What was the logic we have discussed? This one. To come to this one, previous starting point is 8, and then we need to add the 841. How 841 comes is 843 minus 3 plus 1, right? This one is how it is come. 843, that is last row, minus 3 plus 1, right? Doesn't you can make a mistake, and then you can check whether it is correct. So previous starting, then last row, previous starting, previous starting number, last row. Can somebody help me? We need to find out this number, right? We need to find out this number. So this number is, how do we got it? How do we got this one is 8 plus this one, 8 plus this one. What is this one? That means previous out plus this one. So this one is what? This one is last row minus plus 1, last row minus 3 plus 1, last row minus 3 plus 1, correct? Can you understand the logic? Out the next time our starting point for an output is out, previous out plus this one. What is plus? The last row minus 3 plus 1. Let's check whether it is coming correct, right? So now let me go for only one more year. So I'm going to check 2015 and 2016, right? Only 2 years. I think all the codes are correct. So let me save and then delete my D here. So what I'm going to do is I delete everything what we have copied here. And then there are some additional. So let's delete everything. Clear all. Save. Control-Shift D. So my number is coming. Last row number is coming 481 for the first one. And then next one is 843. So let me check whether the output is correct or not, right? So let me check Control-Shift down. How many data selected? 1,320. 1,320 data is selected or copied. Let me check here. Control-Shift down. So here, how many data? 841, right? 841, correct? 841. In 2016, Control-Shift up, 479. 479. The number is correct, right? So that's mean what we have calculated is correct. So now the data entry is correct. As we discussed earlier, now we have copied 2 years, but I don't know where this 2015 ending and where the 16 is starting, right? So because of that reason, though you have done a perfect job, but useless data because the year is lost, right? So we need to modify this code a little bit. So we need to add the, before we moving to the next year, we need to add some ranges here, and then we need to add the year. So what is this range? Sheet X, this D ranging from this one, right? So this range I'm going to select. This range I'm going to select separately before we change anything. I'm going to change this range B starting number is correct. That is B8, right? So I'm going to type a new information. I'm going to type a new information at I8, right? I'm going to type a new information at I8, starting from I8 to some number there. I8 to some number there. What is that some number? We have calculated, right? Some number is, we have started with row number 8. Then we have inserted how many data we have inserted? 841. 841 information we have inserted. And then, so the last row is 841 minus 8 plus 1, right? 843, so it should be the number. If you want to check, again change this to 15, run the code. 843 is the number. 843 is for 2015. Okay. Sorry, I didn't put anything, sorry. Yeah. So you can go down and check whether our calculations are correct. Let me copy this one or cut this one and paste it here. So then my last row is for 848. 848. So this is my starting, and this is the number of this is the number of entries what we have added. So basically, you need to get this number. 840. What is it? 843. Correct. Number of entries are 841. Number of entries are 841, right? Number of entries are 841. Number of entries 841. This one, right? 841. How do we go? The logic is 841 entries has been added in from 8, right? From 8. So basically 841 has been added. 841 has been added. How this 841 came is last row minus 3, right? Last row minus 3. What is the last row? Last row is 843. So last row is 843. Do the calculation. Last row is 843, right? Last row is 843. Our starting number was 3 in the input, right? In the input. So the number of data we have is 843 minus 3 plus 1. That was the number of entries, right? Number of entries. Now when I comes to input, my last range, I have to find it. So basically, this is the answer, right? Where I have already calculated this one. But the plus 1 is not necessary for me. So basically, I can put this one. So what I have done is the next time when I start, my starting number is this one, right? So my range now is, the current range is, if the next time starting number is 849, meaning I won't go up to 848. So other than the one, I have copied everything here. So now this is the range is going to be selected. So what I'm going to select this one, I range to be selected. So what my intended code is, what I am planning to do is I'm going to select this range. So I8 to that one, right? I8 to that one. So I want to change this B to I. So I8 to this one. So what I have to put is I8 colon I, then this number. So basically what I'm going to select, entire I range starting from 8 to this one, right? Entire I range starting from this to this one. But then when I start the next time, for the first one is correct, right? For the first one, this is correct. For the next time, it will be changing, right? For the next time, it will be changing. So instead of 8, what I can put, That also changes. I out star, that is the previous case, right? That's a previous case into, sorry, starting from there, the new number, all these numbers will be equal to year. All these numbers should be year, right? Then what we will do, and this. I out star, then I number, correct? So then it's going to input the year. So then let me say, let me delete everything, including all this calculation, delete, save. Now I'm going to put the number so that this column will be 2005 and 2015 and so on. Now let me run the model for up to 20. Save, Control-Shift-D. There are different numbers are coming, and finally what you can see here, 2020 is entered up to, you can see 2020 is up to 2019, and then 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015. So the work is done. So we have taken, I think we started this one around 11:50, somewhere around 11, somewhere, I don't know. Maybe we have taken, I didn't go for the time, but we have taken some time to concentrate on this calculation. And we have, because when you do macro, you need to put your math also, because you need to work out some math to put that in place. So it's not purely programming. Programming, we didn't use anything. Programming is minimal, but what we used is mostly on the math you have learned from your secondary and A-level and so on. So I think the basic fundamental is math plus very minimal programming concept. Finally, what you have done is you have converted this into this one. So your sheet can be anywhere. Your sheet can have any text with years, but still you could be able to do screening out where the year is coming, and you can change. So here you can change your years to any years from any years. So depends on your data available, you can change your years and you can change everything. And when you want to start the numbers different or when you end the numbers different, so there are a few things you can do, right? So basically we have done. Only problem is the time. I was planning to do some for the same thing from a folder to here. Here within a workbook, we had a sheet and we have pulled everything. But I was intent to do some exercise on if you have these files in a separate files, you have a separate Excel files for each years, and that is in a separate folder, and you can manipulate this the same code little bit so that you will be looping through one more for loop within that folder with the file names. So I think the time is limited, so I will stop here. If time permits, or maybe I will send the code to you if you want. You can just play with yourself if you are really interested. Yeah, that brings to the end of this session. If you, I hope some of you might have got through it. Some of you might feeling, oh no, this is not for me. But what I'm saying is, why I did this one, at least you should know there is something we can do. And Excel is, particularly this macro, is not for solving everything and anything. This one is for repetitive work. If you are doing repeatedly any formatting or any calculations or any copy pasting, any data gathering, cleaning the data, putting the data into your own format, all these kind of things, when you are doing repeatedly, if you do only for one time, don't waste the time with the micro writing. If you repeatedly doing, then this is the meaningful work for you, because once you do several, maybe 1 or 2 hours you spend with the data and write the macro, within a second, you can do your job. So your boss will amaze with you. This guy is, I couldn't believe, because they don't know this one. You can outperform everyone with this skill. So that's comes to the end. If in future, if you want any specific tasks in detail, we will go into the detail. I hope at least you are aware of what is available in the macro. Thank you for that. Yeah.